Good afternoon, this is Matthew Lindsay with Precision Home Group here with our special guest today, Eric Sablan. Now Eric, you're here from Pacific Alaska Wholesale. You're supplying food to rural Alaska.
Yes.
So I'd love to talk to you about that today. A couple things about Eric. He's a hard worker. He's one of the best salespeople I've ever known, been introduced to. No joke, I go to lunch with this guy the first time and he's like pulling people in from all different people just walking by. He's like, hey, you gotta meet this guy, you gotta meet this guy. And this wasn't like, just regular people. He's like, oh yeah, that's the, director of GCI or whatever, whoever it was, just pulling people in, so well connected in the community. One of the big things that I see is, bringing Alaska closer together.
Yes.
So, without further ado, why don't you explain, what you do there at Pacific Alaska Wholesale, and then we can dive into that.
Okay, awesome. So what we do at Pacific Alaska Wholesale is we do a lot of business to business. So we supply food to all of the native communities. And what we really focus on is anyone that doesn't have a road system to it. So imagine if your food has to be flown in every single day. No Walmart where stuff backs into it, but we actually supply that. So one of the big things is, if they're out of eggs, it's my fault. I take full responsibility for that. But I try my best to implement some systems that help them. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I really love it because it does make a difference out there in rural Alaska to have food. It's important. I tell people I sell food and toilet paper, which basically covers both ends, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make it fun. It's not as glamorous as TVs or stuff like that, but it is food.
Yeah, and for people tuning in from Anchorage, we got people from all over. If you're outside of Alaska and don't know this, most of Alaska is not accessible by road.
Correct.
Would you agree with that? So most of these communities, most of these villages, most of these towns, you have to fly in. And if you have bad weather, stuff like that, you got to have reserves. You got to have things in store to be able to make life happen, make life work.
Yeah, one of the questions that I always ask my clients is, how many planes did you have this week? And a lot of times we're so spoiled because we have a plane schedule where Alaska Airlines flies this time. Some of those villages, if it's fog, if it's weather, if it's mechanical, if it's whatever, they want to be safe. But I talked to a client just the other day and they had 2 planes all last week. So just think about that. Imagine if you had 2 supply planes that brought not just food, but also brought passengers in the last week.
And out.
And out, exactly.
So if you have emergency hospital, like doctors, you need to see something like that, you got to wait for one of 2 planes that week.
Exactly.
So that's the type of places that we're talking about. And that's why we say, Eric is bringing Alaska closer together because he's being able to touch base with all these different communities, and they're so different. Each and every one of them.
Each one of them are so different. They're so unique. Different areas of the state, they do different things, and it's all about their culture, and that's one of the really cool things about bringing, like you said, bringing Alaska together. The culture is somewhat getting lost because we brought in a lot of new food, but I love it when they go out and they do some subsistence because sometimes I benefit from some of that really, really good salmon.
There you go. Some good salmon, moose, bear, caribou, you name it.
You name it, it's out there.
Yeah, so what kind of solutions do you offer some of these communities? I know that you're helping schedule and coordinate the planes coming in and out. Not that you have a hand in the planes, but the food on them, cargo shipments, stuff like that. So is there, over time, have you been able to see any changes in the 10 years that you've been in business?
So the 10 years that I've been in business, so the post office, we do a lot with the post office. It's called bypass mail. It's a different rate for food, which is really awesome. The downside about that is it's not trackable. So when it leaves our facility, we don't really have a whole lot of control over that. We know what airline carrier has it, but again, going back to no flights for 2 days, stuff could be sitting there. we've been working on a couple of things, and one of the big things is perishable foods, and we take for granted that we can walk down to any store and pick up an apple. You can't do that in rural Alaska, so we've done a couple of things with charters where we directly ship produce into villages, and they love that. A couple other things that we've done, and this is a little bit of my background in network marketing, is we've done standing orders, which basically is an order that is almost automatic, but they check it off and make sure everything's okay, so they consistently have the items that the store needs.
It's kind of like a subscription based.
Exactly.
One order and it's coming in maybe once a month, twice a month type of thing. Okay.
Yeah. So we implemented that. That was a big deal. And we've done promotions for the stores. We actually do promotions in store for all of our clients that participate. They have special deals. We pass the savings on to them and create the flyers and stuff to hand out to the village. That's been very successful.
Okay, awesome. So it's really like going into small town, small community Alaska, and just bringing them together. I mean, I keep coming back to that. I keep saying that, but as a whole, like everyone, no matter what community you go into, everyone surrounds around food. It's a gathering point.
It's a gathering point.
Right?
It is.
And so if you're the guy bringing the food, everyone's gonna love you, right?
Love me or hate me, because sometimes it's not there. I'm gonna take the good with the bad.
There you go. So what is the best part about your job? You mentioned, sharing with some of the communities, sharing the culture. Sometimes you get that salmon. What's the best part of your job?
Actually, because I do a travel club, and one of the coolest things is I get to go to these places that nobody would have thought to go to.
Yeah.
Nobody would have. I was actually in a place called Deering, and there was these cliffs, looked like Hawaii. It was a little colder, but it looked like Hawaii. And it was just amazing to go to these different locations where you never would have thought you'd be. I mean, I'm a lifelong Alaskan, so I've been here all my life, and in the last 10 years, I've seen more of Alaska than I had the whole 30 years before that.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's beautiful. I mean, there's so many different little villages that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
When I used to do Wildland Fire, I was the same thing. We'd fly to the closest village and then fly out from there to the closest fire. So I got a chance to see some of that too, and just scratch the surface though.
Right.
There's so much out there that nobody has any idea about.
Yeah, it's amazing to see all the little tiny villages that just, I don't want to say pop up because they've been there for a long time, and just being able to go into there, and a lot of their runways are dirt, so I'm landing on dirt runways also.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So do you see any big changes in the future? Do you see anything that could be just better? Just any changes that your company maybe is a part of bringing forth and bringing food to that rural area? And it could be food, it could be anything else. Just connecting them better.
So one thing that our company is really good at is we work with the ASAA.
Okay.
So we do a lot with the March Madness, because what we found is, not just the food portion. We always try to work on 3 pillars when we're working with the clients, our customers: the community, the corporation, and the school.
Okay.
And what we found in the last 2 years is if you tie anything with the corporation and the school together, through basketball, through any sort of promotion, it really brings the community together.
Gotcha.
And like you said, food is a hub for everybody. There's feasts, there's stuff like that they're all a part of, and it's just a really, really, it's a good thing that we're doing to do ASAA and the basketball. We do something called, every time one of myself or my counterpart Tim goes out to a village, we do something called Feed a Family for a Day. And my counterpart Tim, he's the one that actually thought of this whole idea. But we'll go there and we'll ask the manager, who do you know that's either struggling, or who do you know that had someone pass away recently or anything like that? Who do you know? And we'll buy them $100 in free groceries to the store. And what we do is we don't do it for us, we do it through the store. So we tell them that the store is doing this for you, because we don't want to be so much it's us doing it, because that doesn't self-promotion is not as good as other people promoting you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a local thing. They can identify what they know about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we've been doing that's really taken off.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned the travel club. I know you got some other things on the side. I know your main thing here is Pacific Alaska Wholesale.
Yes.
And why I bring all that up is just because you're always out there networking, always out there growing, trying to push yourself, training, consuming content.
Yes.
You're always posting on social media. You're, in the plane again. I'm doing some card on you,
Yes.
reading some books, stuff like that. So that's why we want to bring you on, man, because you're always consistently going after that growth. Hey, how can I better myself? How can I better those around me?
Yes.
How can I build out that network, and how can I add value to them? And so if you guys aren't following Eric, you need to. Where can they find you?
So you can find me at ericsablan.com. You can find me on Facebook. Maybe we'll drop a link to my Facebook page or something
definitely,
like that.
for sure.
And then we just launched something just recently. I have a big goal. I do the travel club, and I have a really big goal of getting 1 million people to take 7 trips a year. So I just released a website, 7tripsayear.com, and what that does is, if you took a 2-week vacation, Matt, how big would your email box look?
It'd be massive.
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 So I'm trying to tell people that you don't have to take 2 weeks. You can take 3 or 4 days, a Friday and a Monday, and basically take 7 trips, because one of my mentors told me your life is defined by your experiences. So the more you experience, the more you're going to get out of it. So if you're taking 7 trips a year, that's like, almost once a month.
Yeah.
Getting out and rejuvenating yourself and getting yourself dialed in. So that's one thing. If you want to, we can send you the link to subscribe to that Facebook group. It's actually brand new. Lots of value in there. And we just want to build that community. Like I said, the goal is 1 million people to take 7 trips a year.
So go check out that website at 7tripsayear.com. 7tripsayear.com. Go check it out. So before I let you get going, what's the single most important takeaway from today? We talked about a lot of different things. What's one piece of advice that you can give people from your experiences, reaching out to communities and doing everything that you've done with Pacific Alaska Wholesale?
So one thing you can't control everything, but you can control what you can control.
I love it.
I mean, that's the big thing. Like, when we send stuff out, we can't control where it goes from there. So what I would say is, get something, focus on what you can control, and focus on that, because whatever you focus on grows. If you're going to focus on family, health, business, whatever it is, just focus on what you can control. You can't control the way people react. You can't control how people deal with you, but you can control you. So I would get into some books, get into some audios, do some sort of training, and then find a mentor, because that's going to help you. I just signed up with a mentor just recently, and he's fantastic. I think we both know him, but
Yeah. I mean, having a mentor is huge. I'll attest to that as well. And having a couple different ones from and they don't all have to be alive, right?
Yeah, they don't all have to be live. You can listen to them on audio. These
Yep.
are the best ones.
So get someone you can network with, converse with, talk with, whether that's, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Someone that you can, work through systems and strategies with your business or whatever goal that you're trying to control, like Eric's talking about. And then from there, also get some of that outside resources from people who have that success in that area that you're trying to achieve.
Definitely.
And that's what we're talking: books, audio programs, sales classes, seminars, all that kind of stuff.
Success leaves clues. You just have to, honestly, I tell people in all of my seminars, success leaves clues. All you gotta do is pick up the crumbs.
Yep.
I mean, really.
That's awesome.
Just a couple nuggets and boom, you're dialed in.
There you go. Right on. Well, thanks for coming on, Eric. I really appreciate you coming on down here today
No
and
problem. It's
sharing
my
this
pleasure.
live with us.
I love it. Thank you.